Now here I've made a drawing of the average pen blank. It's 3/4 of an inch square by usually about 2.5 inches long. And usually, in fact always when you buy a pen blank, the grain, unless it's some kind of a burl, it's running lengthways, like it is shown here. Now on that ebony blank, unfortunately, the grain runs crossways like this. And the reason I had to cut it like that is because that's the way it was in that little sample piece that you saw way back in episode number 1. Now, had I known when I cut that, or before I cut it rather, that the grain was running crossways instead of lengthways, I might have done things a little differently. However, it's too late now. Once I put it through the bandsaw, that's when I realized, hey, wait a minute, the grain on this thing runs crossways, not lengthways. Anyway, thought I'd just mention that. This is why I'm having such a terrible time right now turning it, because I'm turning against the grain, so to speak. Now I don't know if you can see it or not, but it almost looks like this area of the brass tube does not have any CA glue on it. I wish I could get the piece that broke off, but it went through the dust collector, and when it hit that little fan at like 3,000 RPM, I'm sure it's pulverized. Probably couldn't find it anyway. Let's see if I can get in a little closer here. Now that looks to me as though the CA glue has let go from the brass tube. Or is it possible it never was there at all? No, there's a pretty defining line here where it sort of chipped away. Yeah. Anyway, interesting. At least I find it interesting. Now I've got a slight problem here in that this particular blank, the brass tube, moved back out before the CA glue set. And I didn't notice it happening. Actually, I saw it happening when I was editing. Anyway, I had it right, and then it slowly floated back out, I guess you'd say. So the brass tube is just slightly proud of the end here of the blank. So that means in order to take the brass tube down so that it's the same distance as so it's flush, in other words, with the blank, I'm going to have to shorten the brass tube, which is not a good thing because I guess you've heard me say lots of times before, as soon as your cutter reaches the brass tube, stop. Anyway, we'll do the best we can here. Now, I know I've mentioned this before, but not everybody who's watching this video has seen all my videos. So I'm going to mention it again because it's a good tip. Actually, I got 2 good tips. Firstly, you see that vacuum cleaner hooked up there? Well, that draws the shavings off the top of the blank so fast you can't even see them build up. It really helps you to be able to see what you're doing. And then you'll notice that there's a sort of a spotlight in behind the drill press. Well, you think to yourself, well, that's shining the wrong way. Shouldn't that be shining from over your shoulder? Well, what it does is it reflects off the top of the brass tube so that you can see it as soon as you touch it. Now, in this case, the brass tube was sticking out a little bit, so I was touching that first. But anyway, you get the idea. It really helps. I've used the barrel trimmer now on all 5 blanks and everything went fine. Nothing unusual happened for a change. And the other ends turned out just the same. Now it's time to try and figure out how I'm going to make them round. Well, the acrylic, I know how I'm going to do that. That's going to be easy. Well, fairly easy. And it's the ebony, though, that's got me scared. I still don't know what I'm going to do here. Now, here's something that I've known for a long time, but I've never been able to take advantage of it until today. And that is that the Type A mandrel is so close to 1/4 of an inch in diameter, you may as well call it a 1/4 inch. And I have here a 1/4 inch threaded rod. I think it's 1/4 by 20. I've had it for quite a while. It's left over from another project. And it's actually too long, but I don't want to shorten it because someday I might want the rest of this rod, or a piece that's really long. So otherwise I'd cut it off here so it would fit better in the electric drill. Although maybe it might be a little handier to have it so I get the electric drill out of the way of the belt. Or sanding disc, I haven't decided yet. Anyway, this is the one that has the crack. These two do not. This one here has not been pressurized, or rather treated with the cactus juice as well as these two. This one here received almost 2 hours in the vacuum chamber, and then approximately 2 hours in the pressure tank, whereas these had a little over 2 hours in the vacuum and probably 14 to 16 hours in the pressure pot. So now mind you, these ones here I did leave a little bit too long in the toaster oven, but I don't think that's going to make any difference. Yeah, so I still haven't made up my mind. Am I going to use the belt or am I going to use the disc? I think the disc might be a little bit more gentle, and I'll show you why. Now, even though this has been joined together fairly flush, there is a little piece of tape on the underside here, and it sort of raises this joint a bit, so that as the sandpaper is whizzing by there's a little bit of a bang. And I'm just kind of concerned that possibly that little bang might be enough to sort of give me tear out on the ends. The belt is going to be going this way. And yeah, so that's why I think possibly the disc sander, which doesn't have this, might be a little better. And besides, if I gum this one up with cactus juice, it's probably 2 to 3 times more expensive to change than the disc. So anyway, I think I'm going to try the disc first. Well, you probably noticed here that this turned just a little bit out of round. I have a theory for that, and that is probably because where it hit the end grain, it was harder to sand. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it back on this mandrel and then stick it in the metal lathe and just very, very carefully bring it to true. And then the plan is, if it holds together, that is, here you can see that crack there. Then the plan is that I'll put it in the wood lathe and sand it down the rest of the way to the bushings. At least that's the plan. Now, one of the viewers made the comment that he was wondering if possibly I was maybe going to damage my Morse taper here, having it mounted in there. So this time I'm not going to use this. I'm going to go directly onto the mandrel itself. But I'm not doing that because I'm worried about damaging the Morse taper. I'm doing it because I think that it might be running just a little bit more true if I do it this way. Okay. Yeah, we'll give this a try like that. I should be able to tighten this up. Now I am going to have to be careful here that I don't catch the little gnarled nut here. Yeah, I think if I'm careful I'll be okay. This is probably going to take several passes, so I'll just show you the final one. Otherwise you'll be watching all day. Well, it's pretty obvious what happened here. This was about the third pass, I think. Yeah. I don't know if I got a little bit greedy here maybe and tried to take off too much. I think though I'm going to have to forget about this machine. And I'm going to have to somehow see if I can sand it without it getting a little bit oblong. Well, this was the one that had the crack in it anyway. I'm just going to have to be extra careful on the other two blanks now. And I will not use this machine. Well, I do actually know what happened, and it's a little bit complicated. I had stopped the machine, run the cutter back, then moved the cutter up to the end of the blank, then started the machine. And what I should have done was had the machine running while I was moving the cutter up so that it could gradually move up against the wood. Stupid! I should have known better. Now I know I did let it run for a little while after that. Well, that was just because I wanted to see now just how much did I actually move the cutter up. Oh. Okay, I got a much shorter piece now of 1/4 inch rod, and I didn't have to cut this one, so that was a bonus. Now I was planning on using this one, except these 20 threads per inch nuts will not fit on here, and I don't have a fine threaded nut that would fit that. So yeah, I was lucky I found this. So we're going to give this a try. This just might work. Just going to have to be careful I don't sand down my electric drill. Now this is going to be kind of awkward. Yeah, I think I can manage it if I'm careful. You know, it might work better if I come at it like this. I can use that little slot there to help hold everything straight. Now what I had really wanted though was I wanted it to be more so that the sandpaper was going this way, not this way. Well, if I put very light pressure on it, it might work. And well, we'll give it a try, see what happens. Okay, I think I can sand it down the rest of the way now. Yeah, on the wood lathe.